We acknowledge that whether we gather in Edmonton or in Saskatoon this morning, that we do so and meet on Treaty 6 territory, a traditional meeting grounds, gathering place, and traveling route to so many, to the Cree, the Saulteaux, the Blackfoot, the Métis, the Deneta, the Nakota Sioux. We acknowledge all the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked for centuries these lands, and for whom we endeavor to build relationship in our journey toward reconciliation.
This is a season in which we honor memories and traditions. We honor an ancient story of a precarious birth in a dangerous time. We relight the candle of honor.
And today we light the candle for hope, peace, joy, and love that will long to ignite in this season.
Each flame, a way of lighting our path, and sometimes all we can do is light a candle, and it is enough.
We bring the light of our prayers, the light of our hopes, as we strengthen our intentions, offering these words with one another. We are grateful for the gifts of this season, as darkness stretches our nights and shortens our days. Quiet possibilities germinate. In this storied season of legends and myths, may we rise to our capacity to be ignited. May we be inspired to find the miracles in the ordinary and wonder in the midst of trouble and beauty. May it be so.
All right, it's a time for all ages. It's time for anyone who wants to come to the carpet to come here. I've got a story that you might like. There's lots of room on the carpet. We just lit some candles on the table just now, but I didn't think that was enough. So I brought you each a candle. This is just a little lit up tea light candle. It won't burn you. I want you all to have that candle. Here we go. Here we go.
It's not very real fire.
No, it's not real fire. It's just a light. Now, I'm going to read you a story while you hold this light, because I think... Could you pass that back, please? Oh, there we go. One for Mom, too. This is a story about light, and I want you to be using your imagination while you hear this story, and also sometimes having a candle or a light in your hand can help you do that, because you can stare into that light. This is a story called Ferencz's Light. It's by Jessica Colasso, illustrated by Angela Lee, and Ferenc is the name of this firefly in this story. Ferenc likes dancing. Ferenc likes books. But there is one thing Ferenc does not like. Ferenc does not like her light. It's always shining at the wrong time. At the movies, at slumber parties, during games of hide and seek. Oh, you can't hide if your bum is shining. Your light makes you unique, said her mother. No one shines just like you. Oh, I'll cover up my light, Ferenc thought. She gathered leaves and wrapped them around her until her light was hidden. The next day, Ferenc's friends needed her help. At the movies, Tick dropped his snack under his seat. Ferenc, can you shine your light down here? What light? I don't have a light, snapped Ferenc. At the slumber party, Natalie whispered, Ferenc, make your light shine. I'm scared of the dark. But Ferenc let out a loud snore and pretended to be asleep. During a game of hide and seek, Ferenc hid in her best spot deep in the dark bushes. Come out, Ferenc, her friends called. It's too hard to find you when your light doesn't shine. But Ferenc pretended not to hear and flew away as fast as she could. Ferenc found herself deep in the forest, far away from her friends. She'd hoped they would forget about her light. She felt very sad. Just as she began to cry, she heard a strange sound coming from the bushes behind her. Munch, munch, munch. Ferenc flew closer to investigate. Munch, 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 crunch! I love it! What are you doing? Asked Ferenc. Creating my masterpiece, exclaimed a beetle, clicking his huge pincers. Kiri, I'm using my magnificent pincers to make wonderful art. It's amazing, isn't it? It is lovely, said Ferenc. As she looked at Kiri's art, Ferenc's light began to shine through the patterns in the leaves. Oh, how beautiful, Ferenc gasped, enchanted by the colors and shapes that appeared all around her. "Wow," whispered Curie. "Your light is making my art even more magical. What a wonderful gift you have." "Oh, no," said Ferenz. "I don't like my light. I wish it would just go away." She began grabbing leaves again to wrap around herself. "I understand," said Curie. "I used to feel the same way about my pincers. And then I realized I'm brilliant. I am wonderful. I am unique." I like this. I like this guy. "I wish I could feel like that about my light, Curie, but I don't," Ferenz exclaimed, and she flew home. But a few days later, she received a package. The letter said, "Dear Ferenz, I made this skirt just for you. I hope you will wear it to my art show tomorrow. Your light is a gift. Let it shine. Love, Curie." Oh, so she put on that skirt. Ferenz felt nervous as she arrived at the art show the next day, but as her light glimmered through her skirt, she saw the faces of her friends. "How lovely! Brilliant! See what happens when you let your light shine?" I think she's making designs all over the place, isn't she? While Ferenz twisted on the stage, she realized how powerful her light was. It was creating magical art, joy for her friends, and happiness in their hearts. And suddenly, Ferenz felt very grateful that she was a firefly. Ferenz grew to love her light even when it was difficult. She always remembered the night she let her light shine for everybody to see. I want to just say that that's a beautiful story about Ferenz learning to love who she was. And all of us, we have a real light in our hands right now, but all of us have a special something in us. A special something. Who knows what it is, but it makes us special. It makes us unique. And we can learn what that is and let the whole world see it. It makes us special. And it's who we are. We can let who we are be a gift for the world and for our friends and for our family. So I want you to take this light, put it in your pocket, or give it to a mom or a dad or a grandparent to keep safe for you. And I want you to take it home and remember, whenever you see it, I want you to remember that you've got a special light, a special something in you, that you are unique and special, and you can let it shine. And if you don't have a pocket, that's okay. Hold on tight. Sure, of course. Okay, it's time for our programs. I welcome you.
Down in Bethlehem there is a manger, sleeping in a trough of hay. He's the tiny child, a little precious one, born of love on this day. Hallelujah, this child whose light of peace will shine for all. Hallelujah, this child whose light of peace will shine for all. Weary families camped in the desert, waiting for a birth that night. Suddenly in radiant starlight, they heard a wondrous cry. baby's birth brings such good news and joy. Hallelujah, each precious child brings forth a song of hope.
This is a poem by Mary Oliver entitled The Buddha's Last Instruction. Make of yourself a light, said the Buddha. I think of this every morning as the east begins to tear off its many clouds of darkness to send up the first signal, a white fan streaked with pink and violet, even green. An old man, he lay down between two sala trees, and he might have said anything, knowing it was his final hour. The light burns upward. It thickens and settles over the fields. Around him, the villagers gathered and stretched forward to listen. Even before the sun itself hangs disattached in the blue air, I am touched everywhere by its ocean of yellow waves. No doubt he thought of everything that had happened in his difficult life. And then I feel the sun itself as it blazes over the hills, like a million flowers on fire. Clearly, I'm not needed, yet I feel myself turning into something of inexplicable value. Slowly beneath the branches, he raised his head. He looked into the faces of that frightened crowd. In the words of this poet, may we find wisdom for our living.
Up when we fall, light of joy, brighten our days, light of love, teach us to praise, light of life, brighten the day, gather our shadows our days, light of love, teach us your way. Light of life, brighten our day, gather our shadows and cast them away. Beacon of truth, teaching love's way, love in our hearts, spreading the light. Love in our hearts, spreading the light.
This morning we hear two passages from writings stitched together late in the 1st century. First, a story, and then a piece of instruction from the wisdom teachings of Jesus found in Matthew's Gospel. Jesus took Peter and James and his brother John with him, and he led them up a high mountain. And his appearance before them changed. His face shone like the sun, and his clothes became dazzling white. Suddenly they saw what appeared to them to be Moses and Elijah, talking with him. Then Peter said to Jesus, "Teacher, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will make 3 dwellings here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." While he was still speaking, suddenly a bright cloud overshadowed them, and from the cloud they heard a voice. Overcome with fear, they fell to the ground. But Jesus came and touched them, saying, "Get up and do not be afraid." Elsewhere, in a collection of teachings attributed to Jesus, in Matthew's Gospel, he says to his followers, "You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hidden. No one, after lighting a lamp, puts it under a basket, but sets it on a lampstand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others." In the words of this ancient writer, may we find wisdom in our living. Thank you.
In the dark
Peace come to our dark and our sleep, to the conflict we breed. You come, be your dream born alive, held in hope, wrapped in love. Untrue shalom.
Again, in the words of Mary Oliver from her poem, What I Have Learned So Far. Meditation is old and honorable. So why should I not sit every morning of my life on the hillside looking into the shining world? Because properly attended to, delight, as well as havoc, is suggestion. Can one be passionate about the just, the ideal, and the sublime, the holy, and yet commit no labor to its cause? I don't think so. All summations have a beginning. All effect has a story. All kindness begins with the sown seed. Thought buds toward radiance. The gospel of light is the crossroads of indolence or action. Be ignited or be gone. In the words of this poet, We've all seen it. That change of expression that happens. And we describe it as, she was absolutely glowing. He was just beaming. They were simply radiant. And what we're trying to describe is that moment when we experience someone who's in a moment of great joy, or who has been touched by a life event that leaves them without words. We're trying to describe the experience of someone who is fallen in love or rising in love. All we really know is that some great thing has happened to them because they appear to be shining. There are times when this is how we perceive each other. We experience one another to be filled with light. Just as the friends of Jesus in the world of the story experienced him to be ignited, radiant, shining with light, like his ancestors before him. The story takes Jesus up a mountain, seeking solitude, searching for serenity, looking for the courage to face what's coming. And he takes 3 of his closest friends with him, away from the pressures of that dangerous time and the expectations of those whose hopes are pinned on him. The story takes them to a storied place in their tradition, a high place, a luminous place, a place where mysterious things have been said to have happened to their ancestors. A summit that allows for a different perspective. And in the midst of that mountain experience, they perceive a change in their teacher and friend. There was this striking radiance that emanated from him. And it wasn't just a shining moment for Jesus, but it was for each of them. Soon they were hearing other voices, Moses and Elijah, the representatives of their law and their prophets. And Peter wanted to hang on to that moment, as we all do, to preserve it somehow, to build a monument, pitch a tent, make a booth, do something to set that space apart, a way to acknowledge its extraordinariness. But then as the story goes, a cloud embraced them and spoke a word of affirmation, and they were startled and afraid. In the way the gospel writers curate this story is always placed at the point where the pressure around Jesus of Nazareth is tightening. As the danger is increasing, was he tempted to hide his light? Tempted to hide from the light? Tempted to get out of the limelight? Perhaps it was beginning to dawn on him that the road he found himself on was going to cost him his life. That his vision for a non-imperial world, a new social arrangement, was hugely threatening to those who held social power. And day after day, his fate was being sealed. And soon he'd find himself like every prophet before him and after him, marginalized, scandalized, and martyred. But in the world of the story, something happened on that hill. Somehow, being in communion with his closest friends and with the touchstones of his tradition, the law and the prophets, he was able to re-engage the truth of his life. In the way 3 of the 4 gospel writers tell this story, it was a turning point for him. A time in which he reclaimed his voice, returned to his life and his work with integrity and authenticity. He was reignited, even in this very dark and dangerous time. Maybe he could see something of the long story of light. That the vision for what could be would not be built in his lifetime, or perhaps in ours. But that was no reason to abandon the dream. Perhaps he knew that enemies he taught his friends to love would do their best to extinguish his light, but that was no reason not to continue to shine for whatever time he had left. According to one of our creation myths, we're born of light. It all started with light, the emergence of every living thing, and with that emergence, the universe sang its most ancient song, "Let there be light. Let there be light." And there was, and there is, and it's good. And according to the wisdom teachings attributed to the Buddha, and then 500 years later, attributed to Jesus of Nazareth, we're all born of light. We're all born to be light. It isn't just the prophets or those particularly enlightened among us. We're not just inspired beings, we're ignited beings. And none of us came into this world to hide our light, but we came to shine with light. And whether we are able of body, mind, and spirit, or whether we are differently abled, whether we're heterosexual or lesbian or gay or transgendered or transsexual or bisexual or just downright confused, and whether we're male or female or neither or both, whether we're Muslim, Jewish, Christian, pagan, atheist, Buddhist, Baha'i, all or none of the above, whether we're black or white or red or yellow, we are born of light. And we are born to make of ourselves a light, to be light for the world. And our particular radiance includes our gender identities and our sexual orientation and our skin color and the faith tradition that claims us and the capacities that our bodies do or don't have. And we were born to shine in the particularity and the diversity of all that and more. And the word for us is don't hide your light. Be ignited or be gone. Make of yourself a great light and shine, shine, shine. The definite article has gotten us into a lot of darkness. Neither our best teachers or we ourselves are the light of the world. We are light for the world. Not the light, but a light. One of the many lights that does what light does. Expose and envision. Expose the harm and envision the good. Expose the wrongs and envision the right. Expose the pain and envision the healing. Expose the corruption and envision the justice. Expose the hate and envision the love. Be like light. Both wave and particle in the same moment. And if you're light, then you're traveling. There's nothing static about light. When we look at the night sky, we remember that it travels for years to reach our eyes. Those who followed Jesus of Nazareth, like those who followed Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, 500 years before, those closest to their teachers saw in them a kind of radiance, a quality of light, a wisdom in their teachings that cast light for others, and learned from them. We're all born to be ignited, not just the mystics and the martyrs and the saints and the enlightened, but each of us and all of us. Do you remember the story Sue Monk Kidd relates in her book, When the Heart Waits? She talks about her daughter being given the dubious part of being the Bethlehem star in a Christmas play. And after the very first rehearsal, her daughter burst through the door with her costume, a 5-pointed star lined in shiny gold tinsel, designed to drape over her like a sandwich board. And she asks her daughter, "What exactly will you be doing in the play?" And her daughter said, "I just stand there and shine." It takes a child to teach us that it isn't just our wisdom teachers, our prophets, or the particularly enlightened among us who are born to shine. We're each born to shine. None of us came into this world to hide our light, but we came to be ignited or be gone. And as we shine our true light, not the light of others' expectations of us or even their dreams for us, but the more we're true to our highest and best humanity, the more holiness shines through us. But we can't shine when we're hiding. And we can't shine when we're ashamed. And we can't shine when we're living a lie, and we can't shine when we're afraid. But the more authentic and faithful our light, the more we know with every fiber of our being that we're not doomed or diminished or disobedient, we're beloved. And life is for shining, and life is for loving. Be ignited or be gone. Maybe these aren't harsh words of judgment for not doing enough. Maybe it's just a statement of fact that if we fail our light, we fail life. And so deeper living invites us to make of ourselves a light, to be a light for our world, to be ignited with these values we hold before us each time we gather in this space, to be ignited with justice and respect and passion and balance and courage and integrity and creativity and gratitude and inclusivity and spirituality, compassion, responsibility, open-mindedness, continuous learning, joy, which is to say, to be ignited with love. So let's find our moment. Let's find our mountain. Let's let ourselves be ignited with the fire of life, and then shine on, radiant ones. For life is counting on our light.
sharing the star-filled sky so bright. Still, 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 as the snow gently falls all around.
Light takes many forms. And when we appreciate where we've found it, we want to keep it. And yet it changes, and we change. And so we need to take our lights to new places. And so although our candles are extinguished in this place, we all find ways to light them in other places, to let our lights shine, to take the light where we find it and ignite it in other places in our lives. May we go in the spirit of light and living. When you journey with love, you'll learn the mystery of what you were meant to do and be. When the song of the angels is still, when the star in the sky is gone, when the kings and the shepherds have found their way home, the work of Christmas is begun. We are a light for the world, in darkness though we cannot see. When you journey with love, you'll learn the mystery of what you were meant to do and be. Lonely ones, to heal the broken soul with love, to feed the hungry children with warmth and good food, to feel the earth below, the sky above. We are a light for the world. We journey at sea. When you journey with love, you'll learn the mystery of what you were meant to do and be. To free the prisoner from all chains, to make the powerful care, to rebuild the nations with strength and goodwill, to see one early everywhere. We are a light for the world, in darkness though we cannot see. When you journey with love, you'll learn the mystery of what you were meant to do and be. To bring hope to every task you do, to dance at a baby's new birth, to make music in an old person's heart, and sing to the colors of the earth. We are a light for the world. In darkness, though we cannot see, when you journey with love, you'll learn the mystery of what you were meant to do and be.